Beautiful.
Right, perfect. All right. Well, first of all, guys, Travis, are we ready to get started? We're waiting for anybody else.
Chandler's not here, but I don't want to I know we're on a tight schedule and I value everybody's time. So let's go ahead and get started and I'll get him to pop on.
Perfect. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for, being on with us today. My name's Joe Martinez. Travis and I have obviously known each other for quite some time through work, through different colleagues. And, we're looking at the possibility of working together, but he saw, I think, what I saw with the power of this product that we started distributing called the Debt Box. And obviously the idea was to be able to get you guys on. Let me mute this out. There we go. All right. To be able to get you guys on, and maybe ask some tough questions, if you will. And since I'm not that technically savvy, what I did is I went ahead and set up a call with Jason Anderson and Jake Anderson, who are both on here. They are the owners and founding partners of the Debt Box ecosystem. I've gotten to know these guys over the last month and a half or so. And these guys are just amazing. Like probably some of the best guys that I've been able to work with. Very transparent, very very visionary in what they're putting together. And I know, Travis, you had some questions about, how could this work into what we're doing with IX and, the whole referral model and stuff like that. So I just wanted to put you guys on to ask any, of the questions that you want, Travis. Jason here is probably an open book, and he is just an amazing person, but on top of that, obviously very, very well versed in anything in blockchain. So I'm not going to take any more time. Jason, I'll hand it over to you. And I know I've been primarily talking to Travis on this. This is Travis Flaherty. Travis is very well known in my industry as a leader, as a top earner. And so obviously the partnership, and he's invited some of his guys on here. And guys, sorry, I don't know everybody's names, but Travis, I'll turn it over to you for just a second, and then we can kick it off with any questions.
Hey, thank you, Joe. And Jason, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you being here. Where are you located?
Draper, Utah today.
Draper, Utah. So we lived in Saratoga Springs for about 10 years, so not too far from there. Well, listen, Joe has given kind of done a great job of giving an overview of what you guys are doing. I would love to just hear from your perspective a little bit of the vision and or a little bit about kind of how this came about and what excites you about moving forward. I mean, I just kind of love to listen to you a little bit. I'm a relationship guy. I love to get to know people, and I'd love to just maybe start there if that would be okay. Sure. Just a high level overview of what's going on.
Sure. A little background about myself, since we haven't actually met in person. I've actually came out of finance. My family was in VC for a long time. I never actually wanted to get into VC. I started fixed flipping houses and got into real estate, realized that that was hard work and a lot of labor intensive. And I looked at a hard money lender that we were using at the time, making more money than I was per house. And I realized raising money was probably a better idea than swinging the hammer. We actually raised capital for about 18 months. And I actually raised so much money, I turned into a VC company anyway. So I got into family business just because it ended up there. Ran a hedge fund out of California, Las Vegas, and New York for almost a decade, and sold that off in 2008, and got into several different businesses during the part of the investment portfolio. A lot of it was commodity based. We still do large commodities extractions out of Africa, and I got into the blockchain space primarily because I got forced to, and on a bet, got into Bitcoin early on at 92 cents. Didn't put enough in there, obviously, and sold it off thinking I was rich at $500, and the rest is history, and you regret it ever since. But in general, I've always been an avid believer in blockchain for what it can do in all senses of the world, not just cryptocurrencies, but in the technology behind it, allowing more transparency to go to industries that quite honestly are very black box by nature. And so I got into a lot of Bitcoin mining and Ethereum mining. It's easier for individuals with huge pockets that can burn capital until it's profitable to those industries, and I've done very well. The problem is the average day person can't do it. It's not the fact they don't want to, it's not the fact they can't buy a machine, but in order to be profitable, really profitable and make sense, you have to have hundreds of rigs going. You have to have huge power bills every single month. You have to build out huge infrastructure, and then you have to deal with the power companies when you realize what you're doing, and they come in and then start talking about infrastructure that they need and you need to pay for. The everyday person can't do that. But I do believe blockchain will be changing the world and also become the largest shift in wealth the world has ever seen. We're already seeing it in different sectors. We're going to call them meme coins. Currently, everybody's excited. The problem with meme coins and some of the things happening right now in the crypto space, and right now it's moved a little bit to the NFT world currently, is a lot of it is song and dance. There's nothing really backing anything at the end of the day. And being from a financial world, I love the fact I have a Tanzanian dollar that says I have $1 trillion or Tanzanian dollars, but when you go try to cash it in, there's nothing there. And so when you're looking at our products and our projects, what we really want to do is give you something that is revolutionary. I still today, even though we've been out for a minute, I don't really have any competitors. This is something that is very new. It's very edgy. I want to grow as fast as possible. Joe has the same mission. But as I grow, I want to make sure we are building out an ecosystem that is for the community. It's not about a one person holding the tokens that then when it goes up XYZ, they can get out and it's done. All of our projects have to be mined. There are no tokens day one that are in the ecosystem until everything is mining and going. It builds in a fair launch, probably better than any other token or ICO that could ever be in existence, because it's not like founders have any better value or better time frame than the end consumer coming in and buying even the 5th or 6th or 7th or 10th day in. We had to buy licenses just like everyone else. And so we all start mining the same time, or even if you're mining 5 months or 6 months or 10 months later, it doesn't really matter because our projects are set up for longevity, and they're set up for a long-term benefit to the underlying assets, we'll call it, their projects. So if we can deliver on what we believe we can, and we've now done it a few projects in, we believe we can create a life-changing mechanism in a small box that takes the power cost of roughly a toaster and can be disseminated worldwide very quickly. And by doing it, you're changing lives, yes, but you're also building something that is expandable to all different types of industries. And that's the goal. At the end of the day, it's not about one project. It's not about natural gas today or oil that launched last November, or our ecosystem token launched in February. It's not about one token. It's not about one project. It's about getting into an ecosystem that prides itself on bringing good, solid, quality projects that understand the tokenomics of what we are putting out. And that, at the end of the day, is give something to the world that hasn't been done yet, and we're doing it.
Outstanding. Well, do you mind telling me a little bit about, so my understanding is that what makes this so special, or one of the things that makes this so special, is the fact that it is truly backed by commodities. Black gold, for example, being oil, and the relationship. Can you talk a little bit about just my understanding is there's technology that scans the earth that ultimately can identify oil that allows them to be able to accurately pinpoint, saving potentially a lot of money because of that accuracy, allowing them to be able to identify mines. Just kind of talk about the relationship between the coin and maybe your first venture, which was black gold, and then ultimately the natural gas as it correlates.
Sure. The scanning technology actually has been out a lot longer than that. We've been scanning West Africa now for a little over 3 years. And in that process, we've actually made a name for ourselves in Africa. We work directly with the Small Mining Commission there. We've been licensed directly with the Ghanaian government. They own all of the rights for Ghana to scan the projects to basically minimize the earth disruption for the small mining associations that basically go out to small miners for individual concessions. This is in the gold industry, just so you're aware. It basically not only identifies it. It's on a vibration frequency level, but it basically will identify the silver, palladium, gold, and other elements. It does it by satellite. It costs a lot of money to rent satellites. It costs a lot of money to do the scans. But at the end of the day, we've been able to time and time again get to the underlying assets with such accuracy and provability that we physically are licensed with the Ghanaian government right now. We are opening up a couple other countries for that technology, and for that we get X amount of royalties of the rare earths that are coming out, which then obviously get put into circulation, then ends up being tokenized and put on the debt platform. So that's a much bigger conversation, but we have then realized that this technology can not only do minerals, but it gets into oil and gas. And this was a trial and error process, getting into understanding what frequencies coming back, how to read the data. The data came back, but it's actually how to read it, and how to decipher it to a point where it was accurate enough that you can physically pop 2 to 3 tries and hit the dome. In oil and gas, that's one of the largest problems. I'm not saying we're 100% accurate, you're going to hit the first time, but I can get you within 6 feet and we're going to find it. And so with rare earths, it's actually more accurate than oil. It actually comes back with a much easier to read format because of the veins and how it surpluses into certain areas. Oil floats. Oil goes into large baths, so it picks up the oil in large spaces, unlike gold, and then you have to find the best point of entry to that reserve. And that has been what we've been doing over the last year. We released that technology in Nevada first, and we are continuing to do scans in Nebraska, Texas, and now we've actually, because we have a working relationship right now with the Ghanaian government, we actually have 3 oil leases currently right now in Ghana, as well as natural gas leases in Ghana. So I can talk about the relationship now of what that means for anybody buying a license. In our ecosystem, everything is built on tokenomics, which basically is just economy. It's supply demand. At the end of the day, that's what you really need to get to. You need to have more demand than you have supply physically on the marketplace. And how do you do it? Well, in the early stages of any project, you have to put a bunch of coin out there because there isn't as much demand, and you have to sell the tokens into a way where it's profitable for the license holders to run. If they are not making money, they're going to turn the licenses off. We need the licenses on because it actually builds out the ecosystem of what we're trying to get to in building out our own decentralized platform. So how we do this is we make sure that there are revenues consistent coming into ecosystems, and as revenues come in, it burns the coin. So think about it in basic business. It's a liquidity provider. But the big difference between this liquidity provider and, let's say, an institutional bank or a fund, which we did for many years, is if I invested into a company in a hedge fund, do you think I just gave that stock away or burnt it and said it wasn't going to come back again? No, I waited for the stock to go up by 4x, and then I made sure that I liquidated it out and I got my money and I was done for my day. I always had the stock at the end of the day to basically come back and retrieve not only my money, but also make sure I made a good profit on it. With the royalty model of the wells, what's happening is we are locking in a set fixed percentage of the extraction, and we are putting it back into the ecosystem, burning it to never be seen again. It's the best liquidity provider in the world. Because if you know that there's a consistent amount of revenue coming in from the underlying projects, it's taking coins out, what happens? Less and less coins exist. With less and less tokens existing, the miners can come out and mine every single day. In oil, for instance, just from the months of January through the last day of March, $34.7 million is brought into the ecosystem. We've actually burned that and announced it in April. We do it every quarter. We don't announce what's being bought, because there could be market manipulation obviously heading there of what's coming in, how quickly it's coming in, who's, when the big buys are coming in, people will try to sell or short into it. And we want to make sure that we're getting the best value for the ecosystem. But after it happens, we have it pulled into a burn wallet, and we'll announce the burn and how much was actually acquired the previous quarter, and we take it out of the ecosystem. What happened to all the black gold individual holders or license holders means the token went up 78,327% today. Right now at this very second, looking at the price chart, that's where we're at. Now, in that, what does that really mean? The token went from 4 zeros and a 1 to today it's 0.00796 this particular second. Okay, and it's fluctuating right now. It's just like anything else. It gets traded. We've got about 9 million in liquidity at any given time, currently on PancakeSwap, and we're in the process of listing this on multiple different exchanges. When you get on exchanges, you get a 10x multiplier typically on the capital and liquidity going in. The difference in this model is, what if that liquidity never comes back out? So instead of basically burning, hypothetically, the idea is instead of burning $34 million, you really burnt over $300 million in token. What happens to the token when that happens? It goes up. There's no more token there. It's gone. So in this model, you can kind of understand what's happening is the supply is shrinking. The demand is going higher organically without any end consumers being involved. Now, if end consumers are involved and you have individual wallets that's spreading the formation, the idea is the more and more people you have on our platform, the more and more people have wallets, the more and more people that have wallets, the more and more people have coin, more and more coin that are in that wallet, the less coin that's in circulation at any given time, which gives a bigger value to the whole ecosystem. Does that kind of make sense?
It does. I think I followed about, I'd say 90% of it. So I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing good. Would you say that it's fair to say that, I mean, we've seen so many, I still look at blockchain and cryptocurrencies kind of the wild, wild west in some ways. And there's been so many type of scams that have come out. They hire a celebrity or someone to promote, and the value really has there's no substantial value whatsoever. Is it fair to say that what you are doing, because of the commodity behind it, gives it true validity in the same way that the dollar used to have value when it was backed by the gold standard?
Yes, I look at this more as a long-term store of value play than anything else, because there's deflationary tokenomics in the actual token itself that gives back to the community. And there's obviously the liquidity providers coming in, which is underlying projects. It works the same as gold or silver and anything like that. The difference is we have two different platforms. We have what's called a deliverable and we have a non-deliverable. Now, what are the differences? I'm never filling up a 55-gallon barrel of oil and delivering it to anybody. But I will sell that oil to the open market, take the revenue, and then burn the token. It did the same thing at the end of the day. That right there is a non-deliverable. Our coin in the metals are dramatically different. The cool thing about the actual metal projects are they are a deliverable product. And every single token in gold is worth a gram of gold, meaning you can do three things in that. You can hold it, you can sell it to the open market, or you can redeem it. Redeeming it's cool because what it does is it shows the validity of a project, because you're going to get that gram of gold that's going to be delivered to your house. You put it in your safe, and the counterparty of the digital asset was burnt. It's gone. Why? Because it doesn't exist anymore. It's out of evaporation. So if you want to hold gold, I still think it's better in a digital format than physically going into your safe and having ounces and ounces of gold. It's very hard to sell. You take a huge hit typically going to a pawnbroker or somebody or a coin shop to sell it off, as long as you trust the fact that there's gold. So everybody will redeem for a certain period of time, and then they'll realize, what do I really want all these grams of gold for, or these ounces of gold? When it's easier to basically go directly onto PancakeSwap or XYZ centralized exchange, and I can have cash or liquidity instantaneously. So those are the two different types of tokenomics we have. We have a deliverable tokenomics, and then we have a non-deliverable. Both one of them are substantially supported by the underlying mines or the underlying walls.
So with regards to what's happening in the world today and our administration, my understanding is that they have now authorized for the ability to be able to, or increase the amount of drilling that's happening here in the United States. Does that have an impact or an effect in a positive way on what you're doing?
Yeah, I still don't believe them, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
I am one of these with I am one of these with a lot of leases in Nevada, and we got shut down last year from about November until I can't reopen until June 15th because of mating season of a small muskrat. But having said that, they are getting looser. Political pressures are starting to go. We were heavy exploring before Keystone got shut. Keystone got shut. It affected the oil industry dramatically. The drilling spaces, our leases went from, I think we had about 900 possible down to about 80 at that particular time because they physically shut them off and they wouldn't renew them. So this administration, where they're currently at, are kind of put between a rock and a hard spot because when we started this process, we were about $36 a barrel. We're well over 100 futures during the start of the war. They tipped 200 for a minute. They're pulled back now, but there's only so many times you can tackle the strategic oil reserve to bring costs down before they realize they can't continue doing it. They can't technically pump that much oil out a day that they're saying they can. There's not enough oil pipeline to do it. So this is obviously going to help our ecosystem. Now, how we are diversifying that risk because of this current political climate is we're diversifying outside this country. We've gone to a point where all of our projects now are international. We do have projects here, obviously Nebraska, Nevada, and Texas. Great, we'll continue those. We'll explore as much as we possibly can. We'll get as much oil stateside as we possibly can. But we also are partnering with international projects because we can't be slave to one jurisdiction having a political leaning.
With regards to well, let's go a little bit more on the risk factor for a moment. So what do you see as the developer of this project? What do you see being the risk factors here? I mean, can the mine be completely shut down and the value of the coin completely tank? Or what are some of the risk factors and how are you negating them? I know you've just touched on one of them. Are there other areas?
So obviously in an early stage of anything, I think the biggest risks are the first days when there's one well. Mm-hmm. When there's one well, you have much larger risk than when you have two, when you have 5, when you have 10, when you have 15, and they're in different jurisdictions, you widen that base out. It's always the risk when a project gets started because you are dependent on your first to get proof of concept, and then you basically can go get different partners around to go. The problem really isn't in my mind. The biggest ecosystem problem in my mind is legislation. Legislation is a very gray area currently today in the United States. They lean for crypto, they lean against crypto. They don't have a regulatory body that really knows. Everybody wants to regulate it, but they don't really have jurisdiction to. They're fighting over which 3-letter agency gets to. And so we have mitigated that. The parent company actually is not in this country. The parent company is actually out of Dubai. Why is that? Well, they are very crypto friendly. They are heavily heading that direction. And once we get decentralized with nodes and to mitigate the risk, even for US citizens or for any citizen worldwide, to mitigate the risk of, in particular jurisdictions, we basically are setting up the node network to be able to ping off of our own hardware. So even if Binance gets shut down, or even if a government says that you can't do it, the system still works. It's all done basically by the individual users.
From a hacking standpoint, I mean, is there any risk factor there that you would be concerned about, or do you take measures to be able to or I guess because it's being held in individual accounts, that's not necessarily a concern, correct?
Yeah, we have what's called mining pools at your piggy banks. Those are targets, just like anything. They're all encrypted. We spend a lot of money on hack prevention. A lot of projects in early phases, they try and use what's called white label products to start or piggyback or use. The problem is you don't know what you're getting into. We have built everything we are running on from scratch. We spent a lot of money on growing this thing from the entry points to where we're at today, purely because I don't want to plug anything in that could give us any vulnerabilities for that. The biggest risk would be the mining pools. They are where the distribution of all of the network gets paid every single day. They are a large target because people don't withdraw as much as they should. it's just a fact. As soon as it's in your own individual wallet, it's less of a target because it brings it out, and all of a sudden they don't have to have one wallet, they have to hack hundreds of thousands of wallets. And so your really risk is that particular pool going down. If you didn't withdraw for, let's say, 7 days, okay, you may have 7 days worth of earnings, and the license are still mining. We instigate a new mining pool wallet, we put it in there, and maybe we have an issue for a moment in time. But if you didn't withdraw for, let's say, 6 months, you got hit worse than the guy that withdrew yesterday, because your coin basically was still there. So we encourage everyone to don't leave it in the mining pool wallets. Please take your money and get it out as soon as possible. Once it's in your individual dashboard wallet, it's all encrypted by your seed words. It's out of mine. The mining pool wallet is our seed words. I understand that's where it heads up, and that's where we disseminate it from. So getting it into individual wallets, take your paycheck, you made it, withdraw it, and then it's less of a risk.
Well, with anything, timing is important in any opportunity, in any business. And I would imagine that those that got in early on black gold, in fact, my son Chandler, he's not with us today. I was hoping he'd be joining us, but he's not here. When we first heard about this project, Joe was describing it, and before the name came out, he goes, is this the black gold guys? He heard about it early on, chose not to get involved, and is kicking himself as a result of it. So like any project, and again, there's no guarantees, I mean, in anything that you're doing, but would you say that the upside potential is much greater at this point with what you're doing? If we were to look at black gold and the history of black gold, I always say the best predictor of future performance is past performance. Would you say that the expectation could be similar?
Yeah, so the underlying projects, understand nat gas particularly, okay? It's coming off the same wells we were already drilling for oil. I understand they're not even different locations. The reason for it is we just haven't been grabbing that natural gas right now because we've been going after the oil, and it's heavily expensive to put the rigs in and the pipelines in order to get the natural gas to a point of sellability. The projects now are mature enough that we are able to do that, and so we came out with the NatG platform. The tokenomics are the same. The amount of licenses theoretically are actually double because of the reserves of the underlying assets are actually 3 times. Natural gas actually does reproduce itself, so it's not as depletable as oil is. And so the project technically on value, I don't even like to get into it, on value is 3 times larger fines than our oil project is. But having said that, at the end of the day, you would expect to do the exact same thing. For instance, I still think on an investor looking in, I still sell our black gold licenses right now are $12,600 a license. People buy them today. We're still selling hundreds a week. The reason why is it has a performance to basically getting better than a house. You buy a house, you rent it out, you put a mortgage on it, you put $100,000 down on it. That $100,000, you're praying and hoping you're going to make an extra $200 by the time you pay your first lien mortgage on it for $100,000 out. You have renters, you have garbage disposals going out, you have calls on Saturday. People are looking at it and saying, I plug something in and I make better money than my rental property did. So we're still getting a lot of people look at it from that paradigm. Now, understand the black gold license started at $1,000. Yeah. So people that got in on black gold early, we've created, Jake will correct me, but I believe about 2 weeks ago, the number was $1 million every 3.5 days in our ecosystem. Okay. And so it has expanded a large number of success stories. We are hearing people pay off their houses. We've got young 28-year-olds buying Lamborghinis. And it's just because of the tokenomics behind it. I still think they're stupid because that house or that Lamborghini probably is going to cost them 10 times what they sold their token for. But it's that instantaneous gratification of what they need today. And so I look at the wells we're partnering with, guys. These are 20-year wells at a low, 100-year wells at the high. This is a game of chicken. And whoever wants to sell today can get out, and trust me, I am happy about it because it shrinks the supply quicker, and I'm a long-term holder. I look at this saying if the supply continues to come in and give a $30 to $40 million a quarter burn on this project, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, we are talking some exponential growth even from this stage. So I think black gold is still a good value. But if I get on natural gas today for a third or less of the cost, that's probably a better value for dollar today than black gold. But trust me, natural gas is not going to stay at the rates they're at right now very long. We were up $1,000 in the first 4 days being launched. Because of the success of black gold, I believe we'll be up in the $6,000 to $7,000 range by the end of the month.
Well, you look at, I mean, the current state of affairs when it comes to inflation. And I have people calling me, and I don't know why. It's not like I'm some investor or somebody that gives advice in that way, but I have people calling me saying, where do I put my money right now? Because if you put it in your bank account, your checking or your savings account, you're losing, right? You're losing. Stock market, well, I mean, you you played in that game. What are your thoughts right now on the stock market?
I don't own a single stock today.
Yeah. So the reality is a lot of people are looking at cryptocurrency and blockchain kind of as a way to offset inflation, so to speak. And once again, obviously there's no guarantees, but there's just, I think personally, I believe that there's going to be a massive shift over the next 3 to 5 years and beyond that from a lot of the older term type of putting money in our savings account, save for 40 years, trying to retire when you can, which is no longer effective, and or even the stock market. So I just believe we're going to see a major shift, and I think that being in this environment right now, that creates a tremendous opportunity. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I agree. I look at this as an opportunity to be a part of something for a very low entry with high success rates already accomplished. And in a scenario where you got to understand, the stock question is kind of funny. I got asked that the other day. I ran a large hedge fund. I mean, about 90% of my net worth was actually in the New York Stock Exchange. Today, I own zero stock. I have diversified into crypto when crypto was like a hard to move asset. I felt like a drug dealer. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, like there was no centralized exchanges to go do. I mean, I go to my bank, I take out $5,000-$6,000, and I go buy Bitcoin down a back alley from a miner that's been mining it in a shed. I mean, this is where crypto started, guys. I understand. I tell these stories and everybody laughs at me, but it's true. It's today is probably the safest I have ever seen investing in crypto, because you have institutional support. You have Fortune 500 companies emptying their treasuries towards it. Understand, this is a dream come true for me. And I'll be honest, I've been waiting for it for over 5 years. And I kept thinking, eventually everybody's going to come around to my thinking. And I started to get to a point where I was like, well, eventually just going to miss out. I've never doubted this industry. It's been phenomenal over the last 14 to 15 months of how quickly the change has happened. And understand that I don't think it's going backwards. I think the accelerator is on. I think that leads to a lot of very cool projects and amazing technology being developed. I unfortunately also see a space or some room for a lot of foul players to get involved and make bad names for certain things. And that's just a little skepticism in myself, because I've seen it in almost every industry. It came up Wolf of Wall Street as a joke, but the reality is, look, understand any industry can be manipulated, and you have some such high types of returns coming out. I mean, I don't believe them today myself. I mean, understand, we did unbelievable things to try to get 12 to 13% a year for the fund, so we could pay 9% consistently after our fees. The types of rates of return you can see here, I had a hard time saying it, 76,000% in 6 months, 7 months. I mean, that number is just so mind blowing. It's going to lead to a lot of characters getting in that do not have the best hearts of people involved. And right now it is in the NFT market. If I'm being honest, it's because it's easy. Everybody can create an NFT when they walk down a side alley. If you're an artist, You have a lot of people cashing in fairly big on it. I think it's going to be a .com. I've been around a little while. I see a .com in the NFT space. I also need to tell you, the licenses technically are NFTs. When we're done selling them, understand that's what you're getting. You're getting an NFT that produces cash flow, and that NFT will basically be your miner, and you move it to your Trust wallet or your MetaMask wallet, and you can sell it on OpenSea just like everything else. But understand, at least this one comes with some purpose behind it, and it kind of rolls. The metaverse is something I still have not wrapped my head around. I own land. I get it, but I'm not telling anybody else to do it.
Well, so Summer's asking, my wife's on right now, she's listening, and my phone's going off. So she wanted me to ask with regards to, number one, with inflation, how does that historically affect the US dollar? Does that play into our favor here? And then number two, with Russia now accepting yen from China for oil, could this be considered the short on the dollar, so to speak?
Yeah, guys, the basket of currency has been floated around for a number of years to take the dollar off of OPEC. And the reserve currency of the world has always been the dollar because of oil. I believe that everyone is making a play. I think it's going to end up being a basket of currencies, and if they're smart, it's going to be a basket of currencies and probably crypto. Even the countries that have tried to ban crypto are coming back in, and now they're mining crypto. States that have tried to ban crypto, ironically, now are actually investing in crypto infrastructure. The good news is there's hope, because the dollar is not the place to hold your money right now. This goes back to the tried and blue, back when my grandfather was telling me, buy gold, buy silver, put it. And I never understood as a kid. I was like, what the hell do you do with that? Do I shave off a little piece and go buy a candy bar? What do you do with it? And today it's more functional because you have it in a way you can spend. You can put it in a wallet, you can physically spend it. It is very interesting because in any high inflationary economies, doesn't matter when in time in history we've been through it before, we'll be through it again. This is going to be bad. I can tell you, being in finance, just as a generality, not as an investment tool, inflation hurts everyone, and it hurts the people that don't have worse than anything else, because the milk, the bread, the eggs don't hit the wealthy like they do the people that really couldn't afford the milk, bread, and eggs to begin with. And I think this is going to be a shockwave that could potentially kick us into another mortgage crisis at the end of the day. That's at least one that everybody can remember. And the reason for it is the Fed's going to have to raise rates, and they're going to have to raise them pretty dramatically in order to solve the problem of the milk, the bread, the butter, and that will hurt the other part of the economy, which will be the real estate markets and enlarge liquidity lines of credit, and they'll have to pull them back. So, having said that, the rise of price of oil and that over the last 120 days hasn't been bad for us.
Yeah, so. I would imagine. So what do you? I mean, that brings up a whole other question, which is, where do you? If I pull it out of the wallet, where do I put that? Where do you put that money? Like, after you do put it in your wallet, it sounds like that's why you're keeping a lot of it in the actual token right now.
I'm keeping a lot of it in the token. I'll diversify tokens. Like I said, I'm a large holder. I look at, I'm not a CPA, consult your own tax,
right.
Tax advice accounts. But understand, I don't like to convert a lot of it, because every time you do it, it's a tax consequence. So as long as I feel comfortable in the project and I believe it's going up, why on earth would I sell it? Yeah, I'll take it in my own wallet. Yes, I'll do it out when I need the capital. Yes, I'll sell it. I'll take the tax hit. But right now is not the best tax arena, if you want my honest opinion. And today is just not one of those things that, me personally, I need it. But there are individuals that do. We are trying to make it easier for the every average day individual to get this. And so let me talk about the next lead of where we're heading. Not today, not immediately. Eventually, and it is already being worked on technology-wise, we will be having crypto cards to every single one of these boxes, so people can actually go swipe this like a MasterCard. It will only sell what you need directly at the back of the line, and you can go use the gas pump, the grocery store, because I need to get this to a point where the stay-at-home dad can use it.
Love that. I love that.
Because your wife's on, and make sure I'm going to say stay-at-home dad.
Yeah. Well, listen, first of all, we appreciate your time. I mean, this is awesome, and I've got a couple of guys that are on here that are very savvy. Dr. Joe, do you have any questions at all, or we'll start with you? Is there anything that you would like to ask here before we wrap up? I'm not sure if he is available right now or not.
I'm not seeing, other than
Joe Brooks.
good morning, everyone. I don't see anything on the chat.
He is maybe not available. How about Mason? Do you have anything you wanted to ask her before we wrap up?
I'm still trying to put wrap my head around the whole thing. So not specifically. No.
Okay.
No, but thank you very much.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
I think we silenced the crowd here. My wife has been texting me 1,000 questions here. So, honey, is there anything else you would like to ask her before we wrap up? She says, no, I'm good. She's yelling from the background. She's got the kids. So she's just listening in. Brian or Joe, is there anything that you would like to add here that maybe we haven't covered that would be beneficial?
No, I think obviously, the purpose of this call was to get a little bit of the technical side, the vision side, and where we're going. So if there's still questions about the basics, right, that maybe wrapping your head around, certain things, we can do a presentation, like the basic presentation, Travis, for some of the people that might still have questions. But now that you kind of get a big picture of where things are, where they're going, and the guys behind the project, I think that's what I wanted to get to you guys more than anything. And then Travis, we can go, on the day-to-day basis and figure things out and do a normal presentation, or like what we did with Chandler and you guys at the beginning, and kind of go through step by step and how the tokenomics work and how the box works and how the cloud mining works and those types of questions.
What I like, thank you, Joe. And what I really like about this too is not only with the track record of what you guys have done, but there's so many coins, whatever tokens that come out that there's no name on who, you don't even know who the owners are. You can't find them anywhere. And that's kind of like red flag number one, right? Like first and foremost, if you can't even figure out
meme tokens.
And what's that again?
Meme tokens.
Yeah, meme tokens. And so I just appreciate that there's a face, that there's credibility, that there's a track record. To me, that's one of the key factors and why I'm excited and interested. And then, of course, my respect level for Joe and Brian and what they've accomplished as well. So, there's a lot of reputable parties here, and I'm just excited about being a part of the project in the early stages. To me, that creates the biggest opportunity.
And Travis, just to piggyback, because that's what I was going to say. For me, there's a 14-year relationship with one of the key people involved with this, friend of ours, Roy, who I have, having these guys actually come down with us to Cape Town and get to spend a lot of time, get to pick their brains, get to see their vision, get to meet with them several times. Joe is very cautious, as am I now, especially because we've been, and so have you, Travis, kind of burned by some other, people with mining projects. But, my wife said it best, because the results that we've seen have been spectacular. And she says, is this what that other thing was supposed to be like? And I said, yes, that's what this other thing was supposed to be like. But what was interesting about the other mining, a typical, your mining project, if you're doing it through someone, we would have to send an email like, hey, when do I get my coins? Oh, hey, sorry, we forgot to send them to you, and it's like, what? Yeah, you know what I mean? And whereas this, it's like, we can see it, we can, touch it, and the reputation that, everyone has is.
Hey, Brad, you're breaking up. At least for me, you're breaking up really bad.
You're break up, Brad.
No.
Look, I understand crypto is just one of those things. Blockchain in general is one of those things where a lot of people are using a lot of hiding. They want to be anonymous. And don't get me wrong,
there's
I
a
would
risk,
prefer to be anonymous,
but
I would prefer to be anonymous
for me,
as well.
Bitcoin. But anyway, so I'll leave it at that. And Joe, anything you want to add?
Well said, bro.
I think it's just the lag coming through
yeah.
because he's actually muted. It's funny. Okay, go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
No, it's fine. But the nice thing is we want our customers and we want our community to physically feel, taste, and breathe with us, which we want to do that in a transparent way. That's the whole point of blockchain. The whole point is you want to be able to see it and taste it. You don't want someone saying, oh, I'll send it to you later. Don't take my word for it. I don't want to be on the golf course and get a call ever saying, hey, can you please send me my Bitcoin today? Go in your wallet and withdraw it. And then you can go look on the ledger of the blockchain and you can see it. I mean, that's the benefit of what we are doing is everything is so transparent because we can't hide behind the projects and what they've done. You can go look at what they're priced at. You can go physically go look at the mining pools. You can go see what the distributions are. And if you have a wallet address, you can physically go look at everything that has ever happened on your stuff. And ironically, I got involved with Joe very recently. We have a lot of people we actually have in our circles that have been around me for a while. Brian is actually one of them, and so it's very synergistic, I think, with these communities. Everybody asks me why did you end up going this direction, and that's probably the biggest question that I get asked because there is in your industry, it's either a love or hate relationship, and that's
Or both.
or both. And in the reality is we wanted to do something, and my brother's actually from the industry, and I'm definitely one that hasn't liked it for a few reasons. The reason after sitting down with Joe is he saw the vision that unlike a traditional product, you can give value to someone every single day, which gets them the ability to get everything back that they put in and more. And he looked at it and he said, this is something that can explode so quickly. And then he made me a very large commitment. And so I think he's actually exceeded even what I was thinking he was going to be able to do. But I think everybody's seeing it. I think this is the quickest way to get worldwide than me doing it ourselves. When we sold about $62 million with 12 salespeople out of an office in Sandy. That's great, but I'm located in the United States. And yeah, most of the nodes currently, before Joe got involved, were in the United States. Today, I think we're in 9 different countries, and my legal team is scrambling about as fast as possible to make sure that we are compliant in every one of them. And we actually right now are ramping up to make sure we're compliant in every one except for the forbidden fruits. And so this is where I believe the mass expansion and the fun can begin, because when you start diversifying your customer base so quickly, it's word of mouth. Guys, we did this with our friends and family on, let's call it round 1. And the reality is everybody has such success. No one made any money. We didn't pay referral fees. We didn't pay commissions. It was all done based off the fact that they were having such success. They shared it. And so what's really cool with Joe's platform is they actually get paid for sharing it, which is something we've actually never done. But in general, it works for his community to a point where they can get involved and they can grow a way to get involved themselves. And so unlike anything else, if they don't have the money, there's a way to get it. And there's a way to get to that next level. And that is where Joe really kind of sold me on the basis that, look, you have all these people that can afford these licenses. What about the people that can't? I can give them a way to get there and to get to a point where they can be just like on the level people. And I'm very inclusive that way. I want to make sure everybody can be involved in one way, shape, or form, because I do think I know it's not a thing. I know this will change millions of people's lives.
Well, and the coin's not even on PancakeSwap, or it's not even listed at this point, correct? Right now, so that is something that
NatG, no.
Okay, and NatG is, which by the way, again speaks volumes to the timing. Any ideas on what you might anticipate with that, or are you allowed to speak to that, or no?
So let me tell you the process and why we don't go launching directly day one. There's no token. So understand these miners have only been mining for a few weeks. And so you need to mine out. Then you have to convince the community who wants to sell. So right. Understand it's finding the liquidity of let's go get it listed. Everybody wants to go get listed, but everybody's like,
sell right
someone else
now.
list it.
Yeah.
No,
That makes
you let that guy go sell it. Then so in our community, it's kind of, it's a chicken and egg thing. You have to mine to a point where everybody's willing to give a little so that everybody gets a lot, because there is no ICO. It's not like these things are minted and then go. We have to mine, and you have to convince enough people to say, all right, we'll partake of X, but we'll go ahead and give you X back. And it's not coming all out of my pocket, I guarantee that. So it's kind of fun, because it's always happened in about that 60 to 90 day window. I believe this will be a lot quicker, because everybody has seen how quick black gold went, and everybody's so excited to get there again. And so we actually are already getting calls. I don't want to give you a date, but I can tell you it's in the very foreseeable future, nat gas will be listed. And we're actually going to the next phase. We're already in underwriting for black gold to be on 3 decentralized exchanges. I mean, that one's now past the bar. Why aren't we on decentralized exchanges? You need X amount of volume. You need X amount of liquidity. You need X amount of wallet holders. It just takes time. It's not like I can sit here and snap my fingers and it's just done. There's just steps you have to get to. But we are very excited to announce something very quickly.
Dr. Joe.
How are you?
Good, man. So are you going to be the guy that sells and then finds out later that you sold for the price of a pizza and the pizza's worth millions and millions?
Man, no, I'm a holder from way back. Hey, I do have a question though. On the wallet itself, is there a way to see transactions? If you've taken money, or if you've taken the token out, or you bring it into your trust wallet?
So we
see that transaction somewhere?
Yeah. So we actually are built on the trust platform, just so you're aware. So any of our dashboard wallets are built on the same exact security blanket as trust. We did that because they're very trusted in the ecosystem. They've got millions of holders already. You can actually link your trust wallet directly with your dashboard, so you can see it in 2 different locations. You can physically see it on your trust and your dashboard. They're interchangeable. You'll actually save a little bit of fees by doing that. And then you can pull it up on your trust wallet on your phone. You can physically see it on your phone. It's there, it's out, and it's rolling. And if you have it on our dashboard and you don't have trust wallet, you haven't linked them, then you can still look on the blockchain, put your wallet ID address in, and you actually see the token transferred. Absolutely. If you couldn't, it's a problem.
Okay. Very cool.
Well, this has been awesome. We appreciate you and your time. Thank you very much for just
not a problem at all
with us today. And I'm excited about this. I'm looking forward to it. Joe, I think it's brilliant that you chose the network distribution model to get these nodes out. I think that there's no better way, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
One more question I have is for support. If we have a question about something, is there someone we can get a hold of and ask, how do I do this, or I did this and I need help with that, or is there someone we can call?
We have live support currently right now. You'll log into your back office, and it's actually a live support bot. The basic questions will come back to you instantaneously, but we have a live person that answers every single one. Because of the inflood of new client accounts today, I will tell you it's 48 hours. We try to do it in 24, but we have onboarded, thanks to Joe, about 20,000 new accounts in a very short period of time. And so we're getting a little bogged down, but we're still hitting 48 hours or under. We have enough support.
And Joe, with that, anything that we could do as well, like on the traditional side of like, hey, I've already done it, so I can show you how to do it. Or if you hit a snag in the road and hey, you need to click here instead of clicking here, or you need to scan this code instead of scanning this code, or you need to set up we can help with any of that stuff pretty quickly through Travis and team and Brian and everybody and myself. So
Well, I know Travis, and Travis isn't going to be able to help me with some of this stuff. I'm just kidding, Travis.
I will just call Joe, and then pretty soon we'll have a video. Chandler will help us all. So
Chandler, I believe.
Hey, Joe, Summer has a suggestion. She would like a request, actually. She would like kind of, when you withdraw the money from your wallet, she would like it to do the...
Sound like the old Las Vegas when you hit the lottery.
Yeah,
I love that idea.
All the tokens are hitting that bucket.
Happen?
You know the sound of the tokens hitting the bucket. Like, don't we miss that sound?
Yeah, can we
like
make that happen somehow in your back office,
That would be
please?
awesome.
Well, that's a Jason. That's a you question there. So
Can we make that happen, Jason? That'd be cool.
Summer, you're actually not the first one that suggested the withdrawal button do that. So our developers have actually toyed around with a few sound effects in the new mobile app. So we'll see if that's on the radar. I don't know.
I love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jason, Joe, Brian. Appreciate you guys, and we'll circle back around soon.
Cool. All right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Jason, appreciate it. Thank you. Jake
All right.
as well.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.